Hey everybody, welcome back to the 143rd episode of Taps and Patience. My music didn't play, but Harrison is dancing to it. I am AJ with Subtract Manufacturing and Audacity Micro, and I already mentioned Harrison from Precision Ingenuity. Did the music stop now, Harrison?
Yes, the music has stopped.
It played for you?
Yeah.
Huh, that's weird.
So,
what do we do for an intro? What do we do now?
You introduced us, and now I say, what's going on, JJ? What's new in your world?
Travel, and killing myself to get a ring box made for Jacob.
Oh, wow.
So
that sounds like fun.
What have you been up to? I heard you had a little bit of drama in your shop.
Yeah. So for Christmas, we got done a little bit early, which is why we did not have last week's podcast, was because I was out of town. We went to visit my brothers in Tennessee, and then we came back and did a Christmas. We had two, one with my brothers in Tennessee and one with my wife's family here. But on our trip out to Tennessee, we got into a little car accident.
No.
My wife was driving, and we were getting off the interstate, and she was trying to merge into traffic. And she tried to pull forward, and then a car turned into their lane, so she braked, and the lady behind her did not, and just rammed into her. And so we're trying to get all that figured out right now. But so she did that, and then when I got back...
That's not the crash that I intended.
Yeah, I know. We're not done yet. So we had that little accident.
Everybody.
We had that one. And then, not to be outdone, while I was gone, Weston and Ben both decided that they needed to have a crash to their name while I was gone as well. And so Ben ended up crashing the VF3 on the 5-axis trunnion on one of his first 5-axis parts. Though, to be fair, it wasn't completely his fault, because we Sharpie, whenever we take tools out of the machine and we put them onto the convenience rack, there's a couple tool holders that are really hard to reach from one side. And because of our table, you have to go around to the other side to put them in there. And so when we come from one angle, we'll write one number. And it just so happened that the tool number that he was looking for, it had two different numbers from two different angles, because it was in a spot that was hard to reach from both sides. And so at one point it had two different tools in it. And the problem is that they were both drills, and they were both almost the same diameter. And so he grabbed it thinking it was one drill size and it was another. And he put it in the machine and didn't touch off the length because it was already set up.
Yep.
And it ended up crashing. Thankfully, this is the first time we've had a crash on the 5-axis that did not do anything. So I think the drill just acted like a mechanical fuse, and it just, he was going at 5% and it got down close, and then it did the rapid plunge before it starts doing the feed. That, I guess it's a commanded high feed move rather than a rapid move that can be controlled. And during that jolt is when it bottomed out, and so it just exploded into a million shards. And thankfully, it did it in such a way that the drill exploded, and it was the vise was tilted at 90, and it was in a dovetail fixture, and it's basically pushed the dovetail part down and exploded the drill. So basically, you had kind of two mechanical fuses that both absorbed the impact of that crash, and nothing else happened. So thankfully, we got away scot-free on that one. But Weston didn't want to be outdone. And so Weston decided to one-up it. And he came in on Sunday to try to get a couple parts knocked out. And he was going to run a real simple one-and-done part on the lathe. And it was a simple part in the sense that it had two ends that got turned, and they were mirror images of each other almost, with a couple slight differences, but they were basically mirror images. So he wrote the first program and then flipped apart and wrote this and then copied the first program to the second program. And unfortunately, it had some grooves in it. And you have to select those grooves. And he accidentally left one selection on the other side that was being held by the chuck. And the machine rapided into the chuck. And so it has booped the turret, and the turret is now out of alignment. And so we're going to have a tech come in and realign everything on that. So
which lathe was this?
This was the old lathe, not the new lathe. Thank the Lord, because I think I would have cried. Yeah. This is the old lathe, the 2-axis lathe, and thankfully it is not a bottleneck at this time. We did have some parts we were planning on running that we outsourced to a local shop for a really quick turnaround. But we only had like 10 parts that we needed done, and they had some time available on their machines, so they got them knocked out for us real quick, and so it hasn't been too big of a deal. And honestly, it hasn't stressed me out at all compared to other stuff that's happened in the past. So,
yep, that's good.
So that just shows how much it's nice to have extra capacity in some of that stuff. So
extra lathe.
Yeah. So the more we grow, it'd be nice to have another 5-axis machine and maybe another mill just to maintain our current capacity. But I don't have the space and frankly, the budget to get more machines that aren't generating money. But in good news, the VF is over its halfway point on being paid down. So that's exciting.
That is cool. Are you paying ahead or just right on schedule?
We're right on schedule.
Okay.
But that one we kind of got screwed, but not really. In that we put in for one time frame and they gave us 1 year less than what we wanted. So we wanted a 5-year note and they gave us a 4-year note, and we didn't realize it until after we had already signed all the paperwork. So I remember when we first got that machine, the monthly payments were very brutal in the beginning, but now it's one of the cheaper machines in the shop.
Yeah.
So it's not that big a deal.
Hey, less interest,
yeah, less interest, done faster. So it's not that big of a deal. But yeah. I remember at the time when it happened 2 years ago, it was very stressful because it was like, oh man, this is an extra $300 a month or something.
Yeah.
And that's a lot in the beginning because that was our first big boy machine from the Tormach. So
yep.
So that was a big jump.
Big step.
But it's fun to kind of think back to. I think we've almost officially been in the shop as long as we were in the old shop.
Really? So, it doesn't feel like that.
So in February, or this might be between January and February, we will be in this shop longer than we were in the old shop, somewhere in there. Okay. I want to say it's in February. We will in February, I think we tie it, and then after February, we'll be in the new shop longer than we were at the old shop. So it's amazing to think how much we've jumped in the time we were at this shop compared to the first half.
Yeah. When we started this podcast, was I in my current shop or was I still in a garage?
I think you were in your current shop.
Okay.
I don't think we had moved yet, but I think you had just done your Kickstarter for the carabiners.
Or the first one or the second one?
The first one.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I was probably in the shop for that because the pry bars were the last thing in my garage shop because we were packing up the house around the machine that was running pry bars.
Because you moved into your new shop and you got the new machine at the same time. And I think since we've been on the podcast, you only had the 1200 MX. You never had the 1100.
I had the 1100 MX. Yeah. The 1100 was delivered to my garage.
Yeah.
And it spent 2 or 3 months there, I think, making pry bars before moving it to my current spot. So we must have started pretty close to me moving into this new shop.
Yeah. We might have 1 or 2 episodes. Maybe the first run before we got this started was in your old shop. And then by the time the Taps and Patience got officially started, because you tried to do a couple episodes where I came on as a guest.
That's true.
Before we got this going. Do you want to think back that far? Because I was going to be your first guest, and then our recording went to poop. And so you had 2 or 3 other people on, and I ended up being like your 4th guest or something on your deal. And then we started co-hosting from then on. History
That's
lesson.
when they weren't really podcasts. They were just YouTube videos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. It definitely feels like my whole, machining career has been in this shop.
Yeah.
There was, before then it was hobby. And once I moved to this shop, that's when it became work.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the point.
Yep. Yeah. And so, yeah, because you started your whole, I'm doing this full time at the same time that we started the podcast, which was around the same time you moved.
Yeah.
So, like, it was all, because you went full time. At that point, we had been full time a year, maybe 2. And then you went full time, and then, because we did 1 full year of me being in the old shop, right? Have we been doing this for 3 years?
I think so.
Because I think we did 1 whole year of me in the old shop before we moved. Man, that'd be kind of...
Because
that's wild.
We're on episode 140 something, and we miss a couple episodes every year, but it's not 10 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So...
that's about 3 years.
Yeah, a little bit longer.
Yeah. That's cool. That's going to be fun to like go back and like listen to old problems.
You know what? I have gone back once, and a lot of them were shockingly similar problems.
I'm sure. Does that speak good or bad of us? That we have the same problems 3 years later. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, you'll never get away from problems in business. You're always going to have them. But no, it's been a fun journey so far, and next year is looking good. Although I am a little bit nervous about next year, at least the start.
I think next episode we do like our looking forwards, looking back kind of episode.
When are we going to have everyone on? Or are we not going to do one this year?
Christmas
was last week.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll find a time. My December off became really busy.
Funny how that works.
Yeah.
You plan all this free time and then it all gets filled up. So,
So, have I explained my great tour of the East on the podcast yet?
No, you have not. What's going on?
So, we had a family thing in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Which, fun fact, when I planned all this, I definitely thought it was in like Philadelphia, but it was in some city in Virginia.
Okay.
So it added a little bit of extra driving that I wasn't thinking about. But while we were out here east, we figured that it would be a good time to visit some subtract shops and some non-subtract shops.
Mm-hmm.
So tomorrow we are seeing a non-subtract shop, and then the day after that we're seeing Cerven Solutions, famous podcast guest, and then after that we are going to see a subtract shop.
We need to have them back on.
Subtract shop that worked out. Yeah, we really do. They've gotten all busy.
Yeah. Are you gonna record a video of these shops that you're touring?
All 3 of these will be a video, each their own video.
I'm looking forward to that. I always like the tours.
That's how I'm justifying this trip.
Tax write-off tours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and like I make money from those videos. It's not going to be anything wild, but it'll probably pay for the hotel and gas. Like,
oh yeah, that'll be nice.
So, And the nice thing about the videos is they kind of are a long-term, like slow burn. I think from the what's his name, the lean guy, Henry Holsters.
Yeah,
From the Henry Holsters tour, that's been averaging like $10 a month ever since I published that video, and it's like straight linear, no signs of slowing. If anything, it's speeding up.
Yep.
I think your video was like a solid $5 a month, and it's been $5 a month ever since then. So if each of these do $5 or $10 a month, like, forever,
that's going to be nice.
Investment. And plus, it's fun traveling around here with the family.
Yeah,
because I have them all with me. If I was by myself, this probably wouldn't be worth it. But get the girls exposed to different states. And
does the family go with you during the tours, or do they take the van and go to a park or something?
I mean, we haven't done any of the tours yet on this trip, but yeah, they'll probably come with me. I'll stick a camera in my wife's hand to have a second angle, just like we did on yours. And then the girls will run around and cause mayhem. So press E-stops, stick their hands in light curtains, lose their bouncy ball, lose the tennis ball that you gave them underneath the chip bin, stick fly swatters and fans, all the
fun stuff.
All the fun stuff that little girls get into. But so far, the trip's been a lot of fun. We had a little bit of a crash ourselves yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Where we were going up. We were staying in an Airbnb. Everything else has been hotel because it's a little bit cheaper and we have reward points and stuff that we can use. But we went to an Airbnb yesterday. It was kind of halfway up a mountain, and the normal roads were fine. Like they were clean and dry, but it kind of towards the end, it started raining on us and we kind of had to wind up this mountain. And eventually we got onto this guy's property, and on kind of the last, 200 yards or so, maybe 400 yards to get to the little cabin we were staying in, was a fairly steep uphill. And I think it had snowed a couple days or weeks earlier. It stayed cold in this area for a while, but it had snowed and thawed and snowed and thawed and snowed and thawed. And it became this really, really slick ice. And then the day we were going up it, it was a little bit warmer and it was drizzling a little bit. So basically we had water on ice, which is worst case scenario for slipperiness. And we made it about 75% of the way up the hill. And then we lost momentum and just, started sliding back down the hill. And I had just zero control authority in the, to be able to do anything in full brakes, just sliding down. About 25% of the way down the hill, I put it in reverse. So one, I could use the backup camera. And that gave me just a little bit of, maneuverability where I was kind of tapping the brakes as we were going down. And I got most of the way down the hill on the road. And then there was kind of a drainage tilt. And we just drainage tilt straight into a ditch.
Gotcha.
So it probably happened at 3 miles an hour. It was very slow, but there was nothing that I could do.
Did the family freak out while that happened, or were they pretty calm?
My kids didn't really react too much. My wife was like, "You should slow down. Why don't you just stop? Why are you going backwards?"
Yeah.
It's well, I'm trying.
Why didn't I think of that? Oh, that's fun.
We got down to the bottom. We settled against a nice little bush that caught us, and
no damage to the car?
The guy. No damage to the car at all.
Oh, that's good.
So called the Airbnb guy, and he came and picked us up with his 4-wheel drive truck, which did much better on the ice than our van did. We briefly tried to pull it out on the same day that night, and his as soon as you put any weight on that truck, it was just sliding everywhere. There was nowhere near enough traction.
Yep.
And so we gave up, and he, drove us up the rest of the way to the cabin, and we unloaded. And then this morning we went back down, and he brought out his tractor, and things were quite a bit more thawed this morning.
Okay.
And he kind of put his he had a front loader on his tractor, like forklift forks.
Mhm.
He like used those as a plow and like went up and down the road a couple times to break up the ice and kind of stir it up with the gravel.
Yeah.
And then pretty effortlessly just kind of yoinked us out.
Nice.
So
I'm glad it wasn't serious.
Yeah, added a little bit of excitement, but honestly, like this morning I was kind of having fun. Like, getting to play with the tractor and pulling the car out, and I don't know. I watch Matt's off-road recovery on YouTube. And it's like, hey, I'm doing it now.
You should have done like a junior Matt's recovery short.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
But I don't know. It's still so far been a good trip. Like there was 30 seconds of 4 miles per hour terror, but I don't know, just made it interesting.
Yep.
Oh, so Jacob's Ring Box.
Yeah.
So Mr. Jacob, the songwriter and chief producer of the show, is apparently getting married. Well, he's going to propose. We don't actually know if he's getting married yet. He's pretty confident, but we'll see.
She needs to say yes.
She still has to say yes. Yeah. But he wanted a ring box made for him.
Mm-hmm.
And his original design was like one of those fancy kinetic, twirly. It had 6 moving parts on it, kind of ring box. Each part was, it should have been 3 operations on normally. I did it super glue method and just sanded the back. I didn't have tolerances to hold or anything, so just sanded the back and then did it in 2 operations. But he didn't give me a lot of time because he was like, I'm going to propose on New Year's. And he asked me like 3 days before Christmas. But my family celebrates earlier than Christmas in general. Generally, like my family, like me, wife, kids, celebrate the day before Christmas Eve. And then my family on Christmas Eve, and then Elizabeth's family on Christmas. And then we were leaving to Virginia the day after Christmas. So I basically just had like 3 days to work on this thing.
Yeah.
And, it's the most complicated ring box of all time.
But
I got the first prototype done. It actually wasn't too bad. I did all 6 parts in one super glue operation and then stuck it in a vise on my not a 5th axis to drill some holes in the side. But I put that thing together, and the mechanism on it was just the design of the like movements and stuff and how it closed was right. Like everything in CAD was right. I did do some touch-ups to like add reliefs for sharp internal corners and that kind of thing. But like his geometry was correct. The way that it was held together was just like the pivot points were just flathead screws. And if you tighten the screw enough to make it not a wobbly mess, then it would be too tight to open and close. And if you made it loose enough where it could pivot freely, then it was a wobbly mess.
So basically you guys needed shoulder bolts.
So yeah, if we had just used shoulder bolts, but at this point it was like 2 days before Christmas, even with the McMaster order, we couldn't get it in time. So it just kind of was what it was. And I went, okay, I can design something that I can make easily in a day or 2 that won't have any of these problems because it'll be just a box. So I sat down and I designed just a fairly traditional ring box and started working on that. The only problem is, again, I think I started this the day before Christmas Eve, like the day that my family was celebrating. And it needed some tools that I didn't have. I had to drill a relatively long 1/16 inch hole. And I just didn't have any 1/16 inch drill bits. That's just not something I stock for whatever reason. And I had some PCB drills that were close, but they weren't long enough to get down the whole length. I needed like, I don't know, 1.5 inches or something. So a relatively long, skinny hole. And actually, the hole was relatively shallow. The hole was only half an inch or something, but you had to have long reach to reach around the rest of the box to get the hinge to work. And I started to make the first one. There was about an hour of machine time on the open side of the box, like the part that's kind of cup shaped. And I did this on my not a fifth axis. So you machined that one. That took about an hour because there was a bunch of surfacing on it. And then you rotated onto the not a fifth axis, and you had to do a hole from on the side for the hinge, and then you rotated it 180 degrees and did the hole from the other side. And so I made one of them and went to go drill that hole. Drill bit broke in it, and couldn't get it out. So it's like, okay, that one's scrap. So I made another one. Basically, the same thing happened. I'd done some changes, but still broke a drill in there. Couldn't make it. Sorry, my voice isn't moving.
No, you're good.
So I made a third one, and I think I started on the third box at about probably 2 a.m. where I'm starting on this third box. And on this one, instead of drilling those holes, well, I just didn't drill those holes. When before, on all these other attempts, I was using a long reach 1/32 inch end mill to do the first, I don't know, maybe 1/16 of an inch, because this was coming in kind of tangent to a gentle radius. So I was boring a little bit of the way down to give myself a spot face, basically, where I could then come in and drill. And so this time I did that spot face, but I just didn't drill in the machine. And my plan was to go back and, drill it by hand later, so I could keep working on the rest of the box. And I was just going to figure that problem out later. So I got the top done, flipped it over, got the bottom done. And at this point, it is Christmas Eve. I think I worked until about 4:30 on Christmas Eve morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I got, I had the top done, the top of the box done. And at 4:30, I finished the first operation on the bottom half of the box. And the two side holes for the pin, the hinge. And then I went to bed, and then I woke up the same morning, about 4 hours later, before my family went off, or before we went and did my family's Christmas. And I turned the box around and started it on op 2. And that machined while I was, with my family doing Christmas things. Got back the next morning, took the box, threw it in the tumbler Christmas morning, went to my wife's family's Christmas, came back, and now it's the day that we're leaving for the trip. And we had about a 5-hour drive that day. And I spent, I don't know, 8 hours trying to get those stupid side holes. It was not 8 hours. Okay. I had other stuff to do. I probably spent 4 or 5 hours on the box that day.
Oh, my.
Before leaving for our trip. I was taking some of those the cheap import PCB drills and grinding them down so they would have enough clearance to get through. And I kept breaking them because they were pretty long and precarious at that point. And cheap carbide in a hand drill is not a recipe for success. And I broke a bunch of them, and I definitely did not drill super straight. And so that made my hinge not super great. So then I had to kind of step up the hole diameter a couple times so it would have enough wiggle to fit in there.
Oh, no.
And eventually I got it to work fairly well, though.
So you had to have the pin go all the way through?
The pin was not actually going all the way through. The pin was, there was 2 pins coming from either side that were kind of...
So why'd you need it to be, how deep did you need them to go in?
They didn't need to go very deep. The problem was so this thing right here is a fairly good shape or fairly similar in shape to his ring box. But the hinge was kind of, it's flush in here. So you have to drill through kind of where these corners are. So even though the hinge, there was only, a 1/4 inch or whatever of engagement, that quarter of inch of engagement's underneath a half inch of metal.
Do you know what I've done in situations like that?
What's that?
At least if I had my own design, I've counterbored a larger size, and then I made a little pin that I could pound in, and then I machined that pin and I hit it. So like,
oh, you like peened it in.
So yeah, so like I had to do this for a customer because they wanted to have holes that were angled that met, and they wanted to they were going to weld something to back off the back side. And what I ended up doing instead was I drilled 2 holes and at 2 different angles, and then the area where they were going to blow out to have them overlap, I took a piece of material and I machined it to be able to pound into the opening of the T. So it's like a T.
Yeah.
And the back half of the T that they wanted to have closed, I made it larger than it needed to be, and then made a tapered pin that I could pound in until it was a snug fit, and then machined it flush. And then by that point, it disappeared into the material, and you couldn't tell that it had been done.
There's a lot of things that I could have done that I just did not have time to
no
flesh out.
I'm not criticizing, because when you're under the gun, you're trying to get it out the door. But I always like to think, if I were to face this problem with a design of my own, what's a different way I could have done it?
Yeah, that wouldn't have been a bad idea. If I had done it as one pin instead of multiple pins, it actually would have been easier too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because there was, one issue was when you put the pins in, because the hole in the middle didn't go all the way through, there was basically no way to get them out.
Okay.
So
you had one shot to make sure they worked.
You had one shot to make sure it was right, was one problem. The other problem was those pins didn't have a huge amount of support, because they were 1/16 inch diameter and I think 1/4 inch long is all I had on hand. And so that's an 1/8 inch on either side. So they just didn't have a lot of support there, especially when I made one of the holes bigger.
Yeah.
So definitely some design improvements I could have done there. And I could have, bought some drill bits that were the right size. That would help too.
You're under the gun. You got to get stuff out the door.
Yeah, your own time design. To order tools, use what you have on hand.
Yeah.
In the end, it ended up working fairly well. The holes on the, I don't know how to describe this, but basically the holes on the bottom ended up being way too big. But what I was able to do is put the pins in place, and then I dropped super glue down the hole and sprayed it with activator, and then more super glue, and then sprayed it with activator and more super glue.
We just built it up.
And that seemed to work pretty well. I also had to put a little bit of a point on the pins. I just took it to my bench grinder and rounded a point. And that kind of helped it line up better. It kind of self-centered itself as I drove the pins in. Yeah, I know we're running late on time. And then even after that, it still had a little bit of an overbite. So I just took it to my belt grinder and just in place ground everything flush. And then with my Scotch-Brite wheel, made it look nice again. So when there's no tolerances, this stuff gets a lot easier. But after 4 hours of fitting, angrily throwing PCB drills across the shop, and some general, I don't know, it's done. And then shipped to Jacob. I shipped him both of them. Oh, I did tumble them in there somewhere.
Okay.
I think I tumbled the parts while they were in Christmas before fit up. Yeah, during Christmas I tumbled them before I had done the final fit up. And then when I got back, they were mostly tumbled, and I did a bunch of filing on them and used did some extra belt grinding and stuff. But because I had done most of it a couple hours of tumbling, I was able to even out the finish pretty well.
Well, here's the ultimate question. Are you proud of what you produced?
With everything that went wrong in the time frame, yes.
Okay.
The second one would be a lot better, but the first one is totally serviceable.
Okay.
So
what do you do for the fabric on the inside of those?
I send it to Jacob, and he's going to take care of it.
Oh, okay.
In the past, my wife has always made me a little, except for the first one. I don't remember what I did with the first one. So the first box I made was the one I used to propose to her. But in the past, my wife has always made me a little cushion.
Okay. Gotcha. And this is the part of the show where Jacob needs to like put like a random pause with like a text on the screen. You know, she said yes, this happened, this was okay.
The early release Patreons will never know.
So, well, good. Well, I'm glad you were able to get that knocked out for him, even though it sounds like it was an adventure, an unplanned adventure.
And the box ended up in Virginia with me.
What?
Like, because I packed it up to ship it, and by the time we got out the door, UPS was closed. So
you had to ship it from a different location.
Jacob's box is going on a trip.
Was it heading in the right direction or wrong direction?
Wrong direction, because he's on West Coast and I was heading East Coast.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
So, but he got it today, and he's been trying to get his fancy design to work, and then he has mine as a backup if he wants to use that. So,
fair enough.
I'm pretty happy with my overall design. I like the aesthetics of it. Doing a Rev 2, the mechanism would be a lot better, and I'd probably put some more decorative machining on it.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of a clamshell, like, parallel pattern.
Yeah. I think you can do, like, I always like watching the guys that take machining and they make artistic cuts into their stuff. Yeah. And, like, or like the generated designs that you've done on some of the stuff you've done is always really cool. So
I might have to make a Rev B of this just for fun.
Sounds good.
Speaking of just for fun, we have Patreons. We have 3 new Patreon members, Chris B, Puda Creek Precision, and FD Fab. Thank you guys for supporting us. Our Patreons pay Jacob, basically. That's what they do. And they will help us get to IMTS this year, which will be the biggest thing. So thank you, Patreons. We appreciate you. If you join at any paid level, you get access to our Discord, which is a super good community of machinists. I can see there's notifications in there right now. It's always active, but it's also not too big, which is great. Everyone who's in there has, made a commitment by paying to the podcast. They're not just some rando off the street that's not invested. So it's a really good community. You can join the Patreon at a free tier where you pay nothing, and that gets you access to the weekly Q&A via Patreon. Though, if we're being honest, most of the time we do it at the last minute through the Discord. So the Discord is a better place. And then if you pay $10 a month or more, we read out your name. Those people are Josh. The first one I mess up. Josh at Leighton Machine, Millen Y, Devin C, Alex at Mill City Roasters. They make really cool coffee roasters. My brother-in-law made me a bunch of custom roasted coffee for Christmas. And we did not confirm that he was using a Mill City roaster, but he might have been using a Mill City roaster. So I will continue shouting them out until they send me more coffee. Christian O, Stephen M, or maybe I should stop until they send me more coffee.
I was going to say, your incentives are wrong.
A Dead Horse, Daniel R, James at Moultrie Made, Ryan at Strata Manufacturing, Austin W, Kyle at Kursk Machine, Devin at Sinister Machine Works. I saw Kyle's name. He's a Subtract member, and I realized I haven't talked about Subtract yet. Cam S, James N, Bennett Prickly Pear Prototypes, Shep at Alderson Prototyping, Jacob at Zona Precision, Jason S, Joshua H, Christian Z, Freaky Climber, Prescott at 1Z, 2Z Systems, Trey V, Alexander B, Scott Design the Everything, Jamie at JSpec Engineering, Chris at Zyke Precision, EJ at Nocturnal Welding, Chris at Thought Bomb Design, and as ever, Jake Brownson.
Nice.
And then just going straight into the Q&A. First question, actually, are these all from Alex B? Alex B has been prolific with his questions.
Heck yeah.
So first from Alex B, for both plans for next year, and did you achieve all the plans you had for this year? That's next episode. Hold your horses. Hold your dead horse, Alex B. AJ, how has teaching been this year? Do you see yourself continuing to teach or slowing down soon? Teaching has been good. It is better when I'm not frantic and under the gun with Audacity micro jobs. it fits much better with Subtract. So I like teaching. I will continue to teach. I will maybe do less of the stuff where I'm teaching during the day and try to stick more to the Department of Correction stuff where I'm just doing it in the evening. But I think teaching will help me transition to being more focused on Subtract sooner. Another one for me from Alex B. Any new machines planned for the new year? Right now, I'm kind of focused on Subtract, and I don't really need machines for that. But I want a robot. The robot might happen. Screwdriver update. Yes, I built a box for Jacob instead. Yeah, I plan on getting back to that. I honestly hate my current design. The overall shape is good, but the mechanism and like the way it looks with the screws is awful. And I have some ideas to fix that. I haven't seen enough excitement on that project where I would think about making it into a product. Maybe that'll change because I will finish off this one, but I don't know if I want to invest a lot more time in that. So if I don't see more excitement after the next video, like I'll have one really nice screwdriver. If I do start to see more excitement, then I'll maybe go a little bit deeper with it. But I'm still looking for a product that I'll work on, and we'll make a Kickstarter. I don't think it'll be the screwdriver, but it could be. Question for Harrison: how has the new CMM been?
Awesome. It just does its thing. I mean, honestly, we only have like a couple parts that we use it on a regular basis. We've told our existing customers that it's there as a service if they require it, but they will be paying for it if they want a report. And none of them have taken us up on that yet. So it's pretty much strictly medical parts at this point. And it might be doing some firearm parts in the near future.
Cool. It's also like it's a good sales tool.
It's an awesome sales tool. Like if people know that you have it, even if you never use it on their parts, just the fact of having it, they're like, oh, they're more legit.
Yeah. I do wonder if there's a workflow you can build for it where you could use it as a time saver on parts that don't strictly need it.
Yeah, we've got so much stuff that we're trying to push through the shop. Spoiler alert, we might be hiring someone next year. And if that happens, that would give us more free time to try to do some stuff like that. Right now, I am not looking to add any extra work that is not strictly speaking necessary, just because we've been running around like a chicken with its head cut off for basically 3 months now. So, and unless someone really wants us to put it on the CMM, they're going to pay for it and we will do it. But I'm not going to do it just for the fun of it at this point. But I mean, it's being used at least once or twice a week. So just on medical only. So we got a whole bunch of fixtures set up for it. We can set it up and it runs for 45 minutes to an hour unattended. And then it spits out all the reports of all the parts that we've done. And then after about a day of running, usually it's about a day. You can usually do it all in one day. It's about 1 day a week. Maybe 1 day every 2 weeks, depending on if we got a big enough batch that we can get 2 weeks worth in 1 day. But
cool.
But it's been awesome. The biggest complaint I have is just trying to keep the temperature good in that room. It has an exterior wall touching it. So that's part of the problem. And then the other part of the problem is that the little
mini split
that we have, it struggles to keep the temperature within plus or minus 2 degrees of 69. So
it's not really what they're designed for.
No, and I didn't do enough research to figure out what would be the best thing for that, but it's not a big enough problem at this stage to really warrant anything else. It keeps it close, and if you're in there working on it, usually depending on which way it's swinging, you can open the door and balance it out with the shop enough. For just opening the door for 30 minutes is usually enough to, if it's too hot or too cold, depending on what the shop is, to kind of level it out. And I would say 80% of the time it's in the range that it's supposed to be in, and it doesn't yell at us. So, but we still see it every once in a while. It depends on like if there's big swings in weather in our area, that's when we have problems. And like
that makes sense,
because we've had problems where, I mean, the weather over the last 2 days, it was yesterday when I woke up. It was it yesterday? Today's Monday. Yeah, yesterday when I woke up, it was about 70 degrees outside. And when I went to bed, it was in the teens. so in the morning I was outside in a t-shirt and shorts, and it felt like spring. And by that night, it was 10 or 20 below zero, so, or below freezing. So that was a big swing.
Yeah, weather gonna weather.
So it's stuff like that just really kind of messes with the thermals of that room. So like during the summer or fall when we had it installed, the temperatures were less. They had less swings, and so it was less of a problem. But right now we're going from really hot to really cold and back and forth, and it just has a hard time keeping it stable.
All right, next question. Oh, actually, there's another one for you. Next support equipment, Harrison. Tumblers, bandsaw.
Probably tumblers, because the robot can output a lot of parts, and because it's happening off hours when we're not there, it can produce more than our tumblers can keep up with. And we're looking at adding, depending on what our customers need, more stages to tumbling for some of them as they become more aesthetic products rather than tolerance products. And so like the guitar parts that we're working on, we quoted them without tumbling, and they've kind of changed their mind, and they want to have them basically at a mere polish as close to it as we can.
Oh.
And so we're going to have to add multiple stages of tumbling and whatnot. We're going to have to change our price if they want us to do that, because we did not quote all that in. But if they do want us to do that, we're willing to do it, and we're going to have to invest in some tumbling equipment to make it happen.
Yep.
So, and really, we're kind of stuck with ordering anything major until we get a new addition in our shop. So we're pretty close to being tapped out on space for at least anything CNC wise.
Yeah, but you can throw a tumbler in there.
Yeah, we can throw a tumbler in there, but depending on the size, at least. So,
from Freaky Climber, any advice for someone who might be 5/8 of the way through a job and feeling like they are in way over their head? I just call that machining. That's how I feel just about all the time.
I would say it depends on who your customer is in that scenario. If I'm doing a part for like Xometry and I end up in that situation, I have no fear of being like, can't do it, take it back, ding my score, whatever. I don't care. It's not my reputation on the line at that point. And if I took off more than I could chew, hey, I'm sorry, but you have a big network, you can figure it out. I'm not leaving you high and dry. If it's, a shop who is a local customer, they've been great to me. I try to make sure on the front end that if I think it's going to be a problem, I try to tell them, hey, I might not be able to do this, but I'm still willing to try. And so fortunately, I haven't had any issues where I've taken on a project that I didn't know the struggles going on the front end. So I guess that would be my question did you know there was the potential for it, or did it surprise you? And because those are two different reactions, is if you knew there could be the potential for it versus, oh crap, I thought this was going to be easy and my material is banana chipping like crazy. And things that it looked like a simple part, but there's other elements to it that are not so simple. Because I have had to make that happen once with one customer. It was a new customer, and it was a big job, and we ended up losing about half of it. But it was because we told them we lost confidence in our ability to make it based off of how the first few parts went. And that was a very tough conversation to have. But they came and visited our shop and visited us. And even though we haven't done any parts for them since, they traditionally do not outsource parts to begin with. and they were extremely happy with our work, and they were all gung-ho by the end of it. So it ended up actually strengthening our relationship with them in the long run, but it was a very hard conversation on the front end.
Yeah. I think a little bit of it depends on like why you're feeling like you're in over your head.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between like, oh, I took this part and it's too hard for me, versus like, oh, I took this part and oh my gosh, I have to make 1,000 more and I don't have time.
Yeah. There's that, or there's the I didn't quote enough for it. I can do it, but it's gonna take a lot more time. Because I've had those where it's like, I'm losing money on this, and now the customer wants a lot more. Then I just need to go back to the customer and be like, listen, I can't do them for that price at that volume. Like, no way. That's too much.
Yeah. If it's just like I didn't expect these to take this long and now they're taking this long, I think at that point, really, you just kind of got to power through it and work a bunch of late nights. If it's like this part is hard for me, or like, this something here is too difficult, either my machine's not accurate enough or whatever, you really, really need to just talk with your customer and figure it out.
And then
the worst thing you can do is deliver a bad part, or followed maybe by being late without communicating with the customer first.
Communication is key.
Just talk to them.
And then, yeah, I'm not sure. That's you're going to have that if you're pushing yourself, and it's good to push yourself. I've definitely agreed to stuff and then gone back on it a couple times just because I looked at it and I was like, that is not a good fit for me, either with my current workload or hitting I could make the part, but not to the what they wanted it to made to.
Yeah. I would also get as many of those jobs out of the way as you can with Xometry when you're doing it under somebody else's reputation.
Yeah.
Before you go out on your own or come to Subtract. Like, Xometry is a good place to learn that kind of stuff.
All right. Got one
from
more.
EJ Nocturnal Welding. Harrison mentioned wrapping machined parts with paper or oil for shipping. What type of paper is typically used? What oil works best? I'm currently getting ready to wrap up some 1018 Subtract parts.
So Weston got this spray. It's silver something. And it came in like a big jug, and we got a spray bottle for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what it is. It's a rust preventative stuff. And so I typically just spray it down with that, and then I'll wipe it off to make sure it's not completely drenched. But I'll try to make sure that it's got good coverage everywhere. And then I actually don't really use paper. I have a saran wrap, and I'll wrap it with, or not saran, shrink wrap. I'll use shrink wrap and wrap it up to where it keeps that film fresh on
moist,
the part. Yeah.
Dry, whatever. Yeah. I haven't done a ton of 1018. I've used some just like light oil and just kind of rubbed it on good with a rag.
What automatic transmission fluid, ATF, does really good in a pinch. Just something to spray on it that can clean off easily, but does a really good job of rust prevention. That's what we used before we got that other stuff. And you can get that at like any auto shop in your area.
EJ is working on a big Subtract job right now. It kind of looks like a can on a coaster. It's the best way I could describe it. With various size cans. There's the big cans, there's the mini cans, normal cans. And his parts are looking super good right now. And it would be a shame if those picked up any corrosion.
Yeah.
The paper people use is, I believe, called VCI paper. I could be saying that wrong.
Is it the paper that you normally find in like gauge blocks and stuff like that? Different metrology.
Does that stuff only work if it's contacting every part of the part?
I just thought it needed to be in the space that all your parts are in, not necessarily touching every part, but like in a confined space with the part where it can't get fresh air, basically.
I assume you wouldn't want to use something like LPS3 or whatever that stuff's called, the spray
No,
stuff.
I
That's
wouldn't
too
want to.
thick.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would.
it's too good.
I would be angry if my parts were delivered with that.
Yeah.
I guess.
The stuff that we use, I don't remember it's silver something. It's kind of like a WD-40 like consistency, but specifically for rust prevention.
This is actually something that I need to kind of sort out for Subtract now that we're talking about this. We should have a procedure for this, or at least a recommendation, a best practice in place, because we don't. So if anybody has suggestions, send them to me. And I'll write an SOP for Subtract.
If I can figure out the name of that stuff, I'll try to send it to you. I'll try to take a photo of it tomorrow.
Yeah, something easy to spray would be the best.
Yeah, the only thing is that stuff that we got, it came in a container that would be very, very difficult to apply. And so we just got like spray bottles off of like Amazon that we dumped it into, and then you can just spray the parts with it. So
cool. I think that is our last question for today. Did we have any other come in? Yeah, it is VCI paper. Norman says Uline sells VCI bags.
Interesting.
So that could be handy a lot of the time. Pink butcher's paper with oil. So you oil the paper, I guess, and then yeah, okay.
Yep, several options there.
Did we mention Subtract exploded in December?
I don't think so. I don't remember that.
We didn't quite do more sales in December than we did the rest of the year combined, but it was really close.
Oh, that's really exciting.
Yeah, so we've a couple of that, or a part of that was we had a few jobs that were like ones where we'd been talking back and forth to the customer for a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of it was just new jobs from new customers. And then we had one new customer that sent us a bunch of work. So kind of a lot of things landing at the same time. And
so is the network saturated, or?
We had to bring in another shop. Actually, the shop I'm about to go visit on Thursday, I think, or Friday. So yeah, we were pretty saturated there for a bit and talking about bringing on more shops.
Oh, wow.
And that one customer is saying that they're going to have the same or more work for us here in January.
Exciting. That is really exciting.
So it sounds like all the decision makers are currently on vacation. But once they come back for the new year, that they're going to have a bunch more work for us. I think from that one customer, we've had like 4 or 5 orders. And so some of those have been delivered and some of them are still in process. It's hard for me to keep straight because internally we break up orders into different shops sometimes. So it's either like 2 or 3 orders that went to like 5 shops, or it's like 5 orders. I don't remember. But just about every shop on the network has taken a part or 2 from that guy.
Oh, wow.
So if we keep up this pace, like Jacob and I can be full-time Subtract focused, end of story.
That's nice.
And, on track to grow a fair amount next year, which would be huge. I would really love that. Because then I would basically just be teaching and working on Subtract. So I like Audacity. I like making parts, but I'm better at Subtract. So I think that's, where there's more room to grow. Subtract or Audacity can grow, but it'll be, tooth and nail, staying up late, making parts. Whereas Subtract is growing relatively smoothly. We did bring in someone else. He will be part-time and he's kind of busy with his day job until like the end of the year. So we haven't done much with him. But it was actually someone who used to work for me at Chick-fil-A.
Oh, wow.
And was hands down the best worker in the store. So
did he reach out to you or did you reach out to him?
I posted that we were looking for a social media manager on Facebook, and he saw that and reached out, and it was like, yes, I will absolutely take you. He is someone that, like, if he told me that he was able to do a job, I would hire him for anything. Like, I would just take his word for it. He was that good at Chick-fil-A. And like after Chick-fil-A, he went off to the Marines and did his thing with the Marines for a while. And then he came back and, among other things, started a YouTube channel with his brother and
cool.
had a podcast, or has a podcast. I don't know if that's present tense or past tense, but he's done all the social media stuff that we need him to do. So doesn't have a huge background in manufacturing, has done a little bit tangentially, but we'll have to kind of train him up. We'll bring him to IMTS this year. So hopefully he can help get our social media and gear a little bit better.
Yeah, and you're just going to be bringing a party bus.
Yeah, to IMTS. Yeah, kind of wish we could have a booth. But
that would be a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, like Xometry's going to have a booth. It's a good place for us to sell, especially because a lot of our customers are machine shops.
Yeah. Now, I wonder how expensive like all those little booths in the back are.
Still too expensive for us.
Oh, still too expensive. Did you look into it?
Yeah, we did look into this. What might make sense is there is a smaller trade show called Design to Part. And it is specifically buyers coming to look at shops to get parts made.
Okay.
So IMTS is like 90%, machinists, which again, a lot of our business goes to machine shops. Yeah, people needing jigs or fixtures or adapters or, outsourcing stuff they don't want to make. But it's still kind of tangential, whereas like buyers looking for machine shops is much more direct and fitting for us. It is a much smaller show though, and it's not that much cheaper than IMTS. So it's probably half the price or a third the price, but 50 times less people, but a better fit. So
fair enough. Good deal.
Anyway, we haven't challenged Jacob to make a song yet.
Let's give him a break. He's got a lot on his plate this week. All right, guys. We come to the end of the episode, and we want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. And yeah.
Wait, we have a question.
We have a question?
Brad J. for Harrison. Any tips on running a CNC lathe? Just bought my first lathe.
Don't let Weston touch it. No.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Take it very, very slow and simulate. So
shots fired at Weston.
No, it happens. You get into a groove and you miss something. It happens to the best of us. Heck, this is the first big crash Weston's has. I got like 5, so
fair.
He was due for one at some point. Any tips for running a CNC lathe? I mean, you just got to check all your basics. Got to make sure all your tools are on center line. Make sure your drills are on center line, taps, and those types of holders. If you've got a tool presetter, sometimes from the factory they're set up good. If it's a used machine, I would definitely check it. But even on new machines, our Haas machine came set up from the factory, but it was off a little bit, and then we found out later that we could adjust it, and so we did. The Doosan was off from the factory as well, but as part of the setup process, the techs got it all dialed in, and it's been bang on. We haven't had to touch it. But I would not assume anything is perfect until you have checked it. And that's just something I've learned on all CNC equipment. Until you've personally validated that something is working the right way, do not assume that whoever set up the machine for you or dropped it off got it in a condition where it is going to work as intended. Because I think every machine that I've ever had has had something from the factory that was just a little bit off that like the techs didn't catch. Like I was just thinking about that the other day. Like our latest Doosan lathe, when it came in, the sub spindle, whenever the tech was doing some test cuts, the sub spindle was off center line by like 3 thou from the main. Like not like center line, like if like on center, like the chuck was like offset to where it was like wobbling like 3 thou off center line. and that's because the sub chuck does not have a taper for it to guide onto. It just has bolts. It's got a flat plate that it bolts to, and so if it's not sitting perfectly centered on that, it'll wobble. And it was from the factory off. And not only that, something I didn't talk about, but I'll go ahead and mention real quick. The belt on the sub spindle was also loose, and we had a tech come in today under warranty and get it tightened up because it was squeaking. And so he took it apart, and it was super loose. So thankfully, it was an easy fix. But yeah, so yeah, just don't assume everything is perfect. Is my biggest thing, because almost anything can be wrong if you don't check it.
That reminds me, when I was running my spindle at a pretty low speed the other day, I don't remember why, but it was running down towards the bottom of its speed range. I was hearing some belt squeaking coming from it. So I didn't talk to Norman. I don't know if it's just loosened up with time or if that's, got moist or something.
If it's like my old Tormach belt, it degraded after like 6 months of use.
This one is at least sealed, so it's not getting coolant in it. And I think it's a timing belt.
Okay.
But it might be like time to order a spare or something.
Because the MXs, they were a
V belt.
They were a V belt. And that V belt would skip. I remember having all kinds of squeaking issues with ours. Not when they were new, but like it took 3 to 6 months and then they'd start squeaking.
And those machines would get a bunch of coolant in the head, though.
Yeah, they were nasty.
From what I've seen so far, the 1500's pretty well sealed.
Yeah, and that was a good thing because, like, I thought our belt was squeaking because of our coolant was getting in there. That was my biggest fear. But when he took off all the covers, it was bone dry on the inside. My biggest fear now is going forward because he took it apart to tighten the belt that I will now have coolant in the sub housing. Because, if he broke all those factory seals to get in there to tighten the belt, now that's my new biggest fear. So,
dude, I replaced the window on my office mill, and it's so much nicer.
Oh, good. So, window replaced, holes patched, spindle bad.
Spindle iffy. Okay. Song I can't hear.
All right, guys, let's try this again. Thanks for still hanging out with us. And if you like the podcast, please like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. And thanks for hanging out with us this week, and have a happy new year. And I look forward to hearing of all your guys' shops growing over this next year. I'm looking forward to it. We'll catch you guys later. Taps and patience, our daily grind. In this machine shop, we'll always find joyous struggles, all intertwined. Taps and patience, one of a kind.
This isn't actually a beer.
Sure.
Bye. I think we need a song about all of the various crashes, and also his ring box, and also his proposal.
Yeah, just AJ, or not AJ, Jacob, just make a song of our whole podcast episode.
Yeah. Just auto-tune us.
Just auto-tune us and call it good.
Can we get a song about Jacob making songs?
I'm sure that could happen at some point.
Okay, well, I'm going to play the music that I probably can't hear.
Can you hear it?
Oh, yeah.
There you go. No.
I'll just bob along.
Just bob along.